Hey, you got time for a beer? I know I do. Welcome to my show. My name's Jake. It's Sunday. It's weird, but it is. Don't forget, you can find me on Untapped YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram, all at @Jake_69. Tell me your stories. I like to tell them. You must like to hear them because you're listening to me all the time, which is great. I like that too. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It means more people get to hear me, which obviously you want because it makes me feel better about myself that I keep doing this. Anyway, what I've got for you is Obsidium from Dimes Brewhouse in Dimondale, Michigan. It's an American stout. They are your friendly village brewery. It's like an hour plus from where I am, like less than 2 hours, less than an hour and a half. Because in an hour and a half, I could probably be at like 16 other breweries that are not Dimes. But I like going to Dimes. Usually it's because of the company, but whatever. So let's get this guy going. So it's an American stout, which means it should be very brown, almost black, dark brown, which it is. It should be fairly light. Most of those are kind of like the English stouts in that they're fairly light. This one is 6%, so it's not quite as light as I would have hoped, but also fairly light considering it's in this gigantic can. Because usually you get these things and people are like, oh, it's a stout, but it's like 11.5%. Like, whoa, that's wine. I know when they do this at the brewery, they just like scrape off the head on the top, but I like the head on the top, but this glass is not quite big enough for this beer. But it's close. I'm just about done pouring it. Should be malty, well, I mean caramely because of the dark malt in it. I can smell it from here. A little roasty, if I remember correctly. A lot of these, usually you get it more in the dark lagers, but they'll have almost an acrid taste to it. Like it tastes like you've got ashes in your beer. That's not my favorite thing, but I mean it's part of the style if I remember correctly. So you taste that. It's got a very pretty head on it. Look at that. Isn't that nice? And it's sticking around too. That's kind of awesome. It smells dark and roasty, like it should. A little bit of caramel in there. It's a delicious beer. Very easy drinking, which it's supposed to be. Mouthfeel full. It almost feels like you are chewing on black bread, which is nice. Pumpernickel, amazing stuff. Is there a beer that this reminds me of? It's supposed to remind me of Guinness, I'm sure, but this is far more full than Guinness is. You generally get a little bit of a lighter mouthfeel in a Guinness because it is so light. Because usually those are 5 at the most, and I've noticed that recently it's been down a little bit more than that even, which is fine. I kind of like Guinness because they're easy to drink and you can drink a bunch of them. And people think, wow, how are you going to stomach that? Because they think of Guinness as heavy, and it's really not. But I would go more with with one of those peanut butter stouts from, I don't know, wherever. Where was that? Pigeon Hill, I think, had one that's kind of like this. Beards, maybe. I'm trying to remember where the other one was. I know one of them was Pigeon Hill. There's a bunch of them that are a lot like this, but usually they do peanut butter or like there's other stuff that goes into it. This just tastes like beer, which is great. This is very close to one of my favorite beers because it's dark, obviously. It's light. I mean, compared to most beers that are like this, because you get those pastry stouts and they end up being like 8, 10%, and I like them, but also it's a lot. And then fruity. It's not fruity, but it'd be super easy to do. For example, if you've ever had Chambord, kind of looks like a little cannonball with a crown on the top. It's a raspberry liqueur. You take like a shot of that and you dump it in your Guinness after you pour it, and it tastes like instead of that acrid taste that you get at the end of your drink of Guinness, it tastes like raspberries. It's amazing. It's so good. So beers that reminds me of. Does this remind me of a story? I mean, it sort of reminds me of a first date, but also other things. Okay, so I met this girl that I had met online, and she was like, yeah, sure, let's do stuff. I was like, well, I'll come to you because, you know, chivalrous and all that stuff, because we live kind of far apart. And she was like, let's go to Dimes. It's like right down the street from where I live. I was like, perfect. So I tell my mom I'm going. She's like, don't lose your kidneys, because, you know, she figures anybody that wants to meet up with me is obviously not going to be, you know, on the up and up. And she had a friend that she had shared her location with, so that, you know, she wouldn't get kidnapped either. Which, I mean, perfectly fine. First time we're meeting up. Nobody knows anything about anybody. I guess we did meet up, so that was better than the first shot that I made at doing one of those internet dating things. Because got to the day and she ghosted me. Not this one. This one we actually met up. It was fun. Had coffee. Dimes wasn't open yet, so after that we went to Dimes, had a few beers, kept talking. She was great. It was great. Dimes was getting ready to close, and I was like, I really don't want to go. This is fun. Let's keep talking. She was like, well, there's a little park just down the way. We could go and hang out there for a while. Her friend almost called because, you know, obviously it's getting late and she hasn't called yet. So, and then we went walking in the woods. Her friend was like, I almost called because, you know, you're walking in the woods. Oh, nice lacing on this too. That's good. There should be. So that was weird. But she's nice. Is nice still. We're not technically together right now, but we're still friends, which is awesome. What else does this remind me of? Well, I mean, the Guinness and Chambord thing kind of reminds me of that. I really do think that's one of my favorite things to do with the Guinness. I mean, just drinking them is great. Don't get me wrong, but the Chambord makes it that much better. So I guess Irish with a little bit of French in it. Pretty decent. Actually, the glass, I bought this at Dimes when I was there because that's where I got this guy too. The glass is the Michigan Brewers Guild. Kind of reminds me of when I stumbled upon Bell's 25th anniversary when I was living down in Kalamazoo. Got together with a friend of mine and we were like, hey, let's go to Bell's, because it was like, well, he was living in Kalamazoo because he was going to Western, and I was living in Three Rivers, which is like a half an hour from Bell's. It was great because I could go there when I needed to, but also didn't realize it was the 25th anniversary. Got there and there were people everywhere. Went in, there's a band playing. It was great. Had the wild one, brown sour. It was very good. I like that one a lot. And if I can get it, I get it because it's hard to find because you can only get it there at the exact cafe that I've ever seen. That was real good. Almost as good as the first time I had it. Anyway, I've got a quote for you. This one is from Winston Churchill. He says, "Truth is incontrovertible. Panic may rescind it. Ignorance may deride it. Malice may distort it. But there it is. Truth." It's, truth's a good thing. Tell the truth. It's a lot easier to live your life if you tell the truth all the time, because then you don't have to worry about what story you told to whom. So anyway, don't forget, you can find me at Untapped, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram, all at tubajake_69. Tell me your stories. I like to tell them. Hopefully you like to hear them, because I'm going to share them. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so that more people can hear and see this, and people won't think you're crazy when you're like, oh yeah, this guy Jake, I just had a beer with him last night. Anyway, I'll see you next time. You got time for a beer.